Where does our concept of good and bad come from? Anybody want to answer that?
So interesting that you asked that because I read a book the other day that explained that morality comes from the laws that we have in society. So, for example, if a crime is to murder someone, we immediately think that murdering someone is bad. If it wasn't a law, then people will just take it as a normal thing. So it comes from pretty much society and the laws around us.
Okay, good. Before we continue, those of you who came in, anybody knows who is Rodney Gutierrez? Nobody knows Rodney Gutierrez? Okay, won't let him into my class. Don't know who that is. Okay, so I like what you said, Adrian, that morality comes from laws. Okay, where do those laws come from? For those of you who joined us late, today we're talking about morality. Morality. And the question is, who decides what's good and what's bad? Who's the person who's in charge of deciding that? So, like, Mary Romero, I haven't seen you for a while. I sent you an email. Did you get my email? Why do people have emails if you don't check them? Get rid of that stuff. I sent you an email yesterday. I even threatened to go to your house. Go look for that email. Okay, people, talk to me. The question is, we already established what is morality. Morality is basically a guideline of what's good and what's bad. The second question is, who decides that? Adrian said the laws, but then who decided that that should become a law?
I think that it comes from church and Christianity. I think that all laws are basically based or have like a base from that. They just develop from those things.
Nice. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, you know that the purpose of this class is for you to expand your mind in English. You can expand your mind, but in English. So let's go with that, Mary Foster. I liked what you said, that it comes from Christianity and that a lot of laws or most laws are based on that. Okay. One very important law, let's talk specifically about Panama, is that you can only be married to one person. However, in the Bible, men had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wives. So then being married to only one person at a time is not based on Christianity. What is it based on? And if the Bible says, or if the Bible in the Old Testament allowed people to have 10 wives, why can't men have 10 wives now? And I'm going to take it even further. Why do people act so hurt and so surprised when a man has a second and a third woman? I'm not saying it's right. I just want you to think. Okay, so answer those 3 questions. What are the 3 questions? The first one, if our laws are based on the Bible, then how come in Panama and in many countries you can only have one wife, but in Bible times in the Old Testament, those people had a lot more than one wife? That's question number 1. So let's work on that one. Yep. No know who you are, Rodney Gutierrez. Sorry. I'm going to have to finally remove you because I'm sorry. I don't want to report you. Why would I report you? I don't even know who you are. Okay. That's taken care of. Okay. So yes, answer that question. Anybody?
Maybe they make this stereotype and ideology, that men shouldn't be able to marry tons of women. And I think one of the reasons that I will accept too, it's to control human population. population, because if in those days, imagine this estos hombres, these men had a lot of women and they slept with a lot of women. That means that there will be a lot of possibilities that this woman can give birth, like three women can give birth in 1 year, and some of them maybe will have like gemelos, and and that's a lot of kids. So I think that's one of the reasons why society implant that idea of
You can only have one wife. Is that what you're saying? Because they don't want you to have a whole bunch of kids. Okay.
Oh,
Who else wants to weigh in on this? What exactly is the reason why men are only allowed to? No, there are some cultures currently that still men can have 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 wives. Okay, that still exists. In fact, there are even some religious groups that live in our side of the world. Because usually when we think of this, we think, oh, India, Indonesia, Africa. No, there are religious groups that live right here in our part of the world that the religion allows them to have 2, 3, 4, 5 wives, as many wives as they can, as they want to, or as they can support. Okay, of course, it's illegal, but they still do it because their religion allows it, and it's seen as something good for a man to have more than one wife. So the question still is, now, according to Mandisa, this was changed because they didn't want one guy to have like 50 kids. So what do the rest of you think? Why is it that even though in Bible times, men had lots of wives, and it's still something cultural, and it's still something in certain religions, why is it that it's now actually illegal, specifically in Panama, to have more than one wife? So Mandisa's opinion is less kids. What about the rest of you? What do you think?
I think that anything that we have here in our country is a product of the Western influence, because if you think about what America really is, we are not like isolated from the rest of the world. We were colonized by people from Spain, Portugal, and other countries from the Western society. So when we think the Old Testament, where they had a lot of wives and things, that is not as much as a Western influence as much as a Eastern influence. So the cultures are very different. So we were more like influenced from the Western part, which involves, the Renaissance and these family core values from the, how would you say ilustración in English?
Illustrations.
La ilustración, el periodo.
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's like the Enlightenment or something like that. So
that's it.
All of those values come from that, and we were colonized by the people with those values, not the people with the Old Testament Bible values. So that's the reason.
I like what you just said, Moises. So then my next question is this: is having more than one wife good or bad?
Well, that's decided by the mainstream culture you live in. So you cannot go to another country where they practice that and say, oh, you're all wrong, you shouldn't be doing this, because that's just the way they were raised to be. And they can't come over here and tell us, oh, monogamy is bad, you shouldn't be monogamous. That's unnatural. Animals have 1,000 couples. And so no one is right in this topic, because, it's one thing or it's the other. But we can live in harmony. Some people monogamous, some people not monogamous in other cultures.
Okay, I like that. So then let's go back to my first question. Who decides what's right and what's wrong? Who decides this?
Dead people.
Okay. Okay, that's a good answer. What do the rest of you think? Who decides what's right and what's wrong? Oh, stop staring at the roof. Answer me. Go ahead, Janice.
I don't know why, but I think it's time.
Oh, okay, tell me more.
That's I can tell you more because I don't know if I'm right, but I don't know why the word time just came to my mind when you said what's right and what's wrong.
Mm. So let's discuss this then, people.
I think I can tell. Maybe the generations and the people and how they were raised in different times, and
Mm.
how people from I don't know, boomers, um think that the stuff we see today is just unnatural and so disgusting, but for us it's just so normal and something that you have to respect, and that's why I think time
Hmm.
decides what's wrong, what's right.
That's an interesting answer because if we go back to the book, remember the book is describing a society hundreds of years after it was written. And remember that in this book, the word mother and father and family are actually obscene. Okay. So at that particular time in this fake history, these things that we now hold to be so dear to us and so good actually become seen, they're seen as something that's bad. So I like your perspective too, Janice, because as time goes on, then our concept of good and bad changes, right? Let's take a second thing, murder. Murder is wrong. In fact, the Bible does say, thou shalt not kill. But if you go to the Old Testament, it's all about murder. It's all about murder. This one murdered, that one they murdered, the whole community, the ground opened and everybody was murdered, and this one murdered, and that. It's all about murder. So then my question is murder right or is it wrong? And is this something that's going to change with time? And while you think of that, let me add a third one. So first we started with this polygamy and monogamy conversation. Then we're going into murder. And then the third one is, what about little girls 12 years old getting married to guys in their 20s? That's also in the Bible. And it's still something that happens in certain cultures. So is it right or is it wrong? Okay, hit me then. Tell me. Oh yeah, the question is it right or is it wrong? First one, polygamy versus monogamy. Is it right or is it wrong? Go ahead.
um I think here specific in Panama we have like this idea that when you turn 18 you're just an adult and now you can date 40-year-old men, when the thing is that's legal, but it's not ethic and moral. Like, what, first of all, why are 40-year-old men hitting on just 20-year-old girls that just turned 20 freshly? And I think that's weird. Like, and I read something about that, and it's that they are in love with the concept that they are still kids and not are going to turn an adults. Like, they are still kids, not going to turn to an adult, and they are in love with that concept. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, so let's explore what you just said. That why is it that 40-year-old guys think that they can hit on 18 or 20-year-old girls and that it's okay? Okay. So if we go back to biblical times, that was quite normal. In fact, by 18, a girl had to be already married and already have a few kids. So compared to biblical times, that's normal. But if we bring it down to our time, it's immoral because why? Why exactly is it immoral? It is. I'm not saying all of you go date some 40-year-old guy, but I want you to discuss and to find out why exactly it's considered immoral. Okay, and again, in the whole discussion about polygamy versus monogamy, I am not saying it's okay for a guy to have 5 wives. Okay, I want you to tell me why you think it's bad. So it's all about your opinion and not just accepting what was handed down to you. I'm going to start calling names because most of you are just staring at me like you're watching TV. This is not a TV show. Okay, so let's start with Eduardo Soto. Is it immoral for a 40-year-old guy to start trying to have a relationship with an 18-year-old girl? She's an adult now. Is that immoral and why?
The reason I can't answer is because I'm likely to, hello? I'm likely to make remarks according to everyone's perspective. And I believe these kind of topics are based on perspective because we can agree.
I mean, your perspective, not everyone, yours.
Uh-huh. So I don't know. I don't have the answer right now because I'm so poisoned about everything. So I have to figure it out.
Oh, okay.
Can I say a perspective?
Go ahead, Janice.
I think they are living in two different phases, and he has multiple experiences and probably multiple marriages that failed, and that's why he's single. And he had multiple, I don't know, sexual encounters, and she just turned 18. She doesn't know nothing about that. She doesn't have any experience with that. And he probably has kids, and he knows all this dad stuff, and she just know like teenager stuff. She just turned 18. So I think they are two different phases, and the experiences can be drastically different
Mhm.
for them to be together.
Yeah. So people, that's another thing about class. You don't have to follow everybody's opinion. You got to have your own. I mean, life is about making your own choices and having your own opinions, not just following the crowd. So, so Soto, I'm going to come back to you. Let's go to Otero. Otero, tell me, is it wrong for a 40-year-old guy to want to date an 18-year-old girl, and why, in your opinion?
Okay, it's bad, but I don't know. As Jenny already said, it's bad because they both are in different phases, and because the girl just just turned 18. She's just like adapting to this new phase, and maybe she will be more prone to be manipulated.
Okay, that's a good answer. So then, is it moral or immoral? Is it good or bad? The rest of you, is it good or bad?
Can
And
I,
go ahead.
I wanted to say that I think that a
See
lot
it.
of people are,
Wow, it's not so dark. Go ahead.
uh, so a lot of people have the idea that they want to decide for other people. I think that if the 18-year-old wants to date a 40-year-old guy, it's not my business at the end of the day. Like, I'm not gonna put my nose on somebody else's basket. It's not my thing. So if they want to date like a 60-year-old because the guy has money, like, who am I to say to no? You know, power to her. It's just they can do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, good. That's a good point. Everybody gets to live their life however they want to. But the question continues to be, is it good or is it bad? That's what we want to find out, because what we're trying to figure out is who established our moral standards? Where do they come from? Where do these moral standards, these things that we hold so dear to say, eso es malo, eso es bueno, eso es malo, where do these ideas come from? And as we have seen, we think they come from the Bible, but no, a lot of them don't. Let's talk about, for instance, the next topic. So we have these three on the table: monogamy, old dudes and young girls, and murder. Is murder good or bad? Genesis.
Of course, it is bad.
Genesis.
Um, it is bad because it's like you are not. How can I say? You are not allowed to decide who needs to live and who needs to be dead, and also it's how do you say pecado? Sin.
But Genesis, if we go to the Old Testament, there's a lot of murder in the Old Testament. Entire countries were wiped out in the Old Testament, and it's seen as something good. And we teach them to our kids. We teach our kids about how David killed Goliath. And we teach, and we put David like he's such an hero because he killed Goliath. So that's murder. And there are many other stories in which our Bible heroes, like David murdered a lot of people. So then is murder good or bad?
It is justified on the Bible at least. Like that scenario. I mean, that scenario is like, okay, like wasn't like Goliath a general from a war or something on the Bible? He was a giant, but he was like a general or something, and he was like a war criminal and stuff. So that's why it was justified. The same goes like, oh, is it moral to hit Hitler? I mean, it is. He was a bad person.
So then murder isn't bad. Is that what you're saying? Murder isn't bad? Because they justify, then who gets to decide it? Who decides when it's good and when it's bad? Oh, it's good murder. Oh no, that's bad murder. Who makes that decision?
If it's justifiable, then it's not that bad. But at the same time, like murders have a justification. It's difficult to answer that question.
It is difficult to answer this question. I know.
Teacher, first of all, we have to think about the situation that they had in the Bible. They were in war between other countries and cities. They were in war. And we are talking about that in the Bible said that God chose to David to fight for Israel. And then he goes, then kills Goliath and all the things that the Bible said. But the main thing that we have to be clear is that they were in a time that they were in war. They were fighting for many things, for to invade Israel, to ganar tierras,
get lands,
and other things. In this case, in all the war, we see that men kill men, and there are dead people, and we see bodies in all wars, because that is the definition of war.
But at the end of the day, the fact is that it's murder, no matter what. The act is murder.
That's a good point that you make, Amir, and your point, Eduardo Soto, brilliant. People, this is about thinking and figuring out things for yourself and not getting accustomed to just believing what everybody else said you need to believe. You need to start thinking because you are the adults now. Like in 2 years, 3 years, some of you, but you are the adults now. Okay, so back to Amir's point. That's true. It was war. So then does it mean that when it's war, all murders are justified? In some year, I forget the year, I was alive and well during that time, there was an invasion of Panama. Okay, lots of innocent people were killed. Lots of people disappeared. They haven't found them till today. So are those murders justified because it was war? Who wants to talk to me? Mary Romero.
I don't know. I think that maybe it came from a person who was tired of the deaths, and that's why they established that law.
That's a good one. People, don't ever be afraid of stating your opinion, of voicing what you think, even if nobody agrees. This is not about agreeing or disagreeing. This is about thinking, opening your mind, and saying your opinion. But that's a good one, Mary. Okay, so is murder murder, or does murder have different categories? For instance, well, we don't have capital punishment in Panama. Capital punishment is when you kill somebody, like in an electric chair or lethal injection. Okay. We don't have that here, but is that justified murder? Or yeah, go.
In China, last week, a man raped 30 women, and he's getting killed by the government.
Okay.
On a electric chair. And I think that, I don't know, if you rape 30 women, you're going obviously against someone's integrity, and you obviously deserve to die. like deserve an urn. Like he's gonna die, and I don't know. I can have sympathy for him, and I think like some people, if you're going against someone's integrity, and a lot of people, like 30 women, you deserve to die.
Okay, Janice, so 30 women. What if it had only been 10 women? Would he deserve to die for 10 women?
Yes.
And what about 2 women? Would he deserve to die for raping 2 women?
Yes.
And what about only 1 woman? Would he deserve to die for only raping 1 woman?
Yes.
So my question is this, does that solve or stop rape?
No. But
What do we want to do? Kill them or solve the problem? What do we want to do?
both.
Both? We want to kill them and solve the problem, but killing isn't solving the problem. So what do you suggest?
Well, I think the victims, we have to empathize with their suffering.
Of course we do.
And I don't know if they say they want to kill him, like kill him.
Or let the victims kill him? Is that what you're saying? Like all the victims come and stab him? But I do understand your point. And so if that's an extreme case, because raping 30 people, that's extreme. And yes, probably, I don't know, good or bad, you need to answer that for yourself. But should capital punishment exist? Like if you kill somebody, we're gonna kill you. Can we justify murdering people because they murdered people? Is that a good murder, or is murder, tell me, if there are different categories of murder, like good murder, bad murder, semi-good murder?
If they don't die, like by the government, they're gonna get killed in prison, in jail. Like, 100%.
Tell me, Adrian, I'm coming for the rest of you, so I don't think you're gonna get off without talking. All of you. Aranza, Natalie, Layali. Who's the other one that's not, hasn't? Well, Mary spoke already. Sally. I'm coming for you. Okay, go ahead, Adrian.
So yeah, like state, what is it? State punishment? That degree of punishment is like, I mean, we put people in prison because they're like a menace for society, right? Killing them is literally just like protecting society. So like, it's kind of justifiable, but like the rapist example is like if you don't kill them, what are you gonna do with them? Like you cannot rehab them. The damage is already done. Like there's no point in like helping them because like it wasn't an accidental thing. It wasn't a like, oh, oops, it happens. No, it's like you messed up. You knew what you were doing. Therefore, you're gonna pay the price. And if the price is death, what you gonna do about it? Yeah, like it's if the menace, if like the crime is just too big, and the perpetrator is just alive, he should be killed just to make sure and send a message that this is not acceptable.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, rape is a horrible thing, and I also think a lot of times, and I think I've said this before, I told you this before, victims have to stop keeping silent. Stop keeping these people secret. I almost said murders. Stop keeping these people secret, because what they want is to damage, to control, to have power over you. And when you keep the secret, you are actually helping them to do that. Never keep the secret. And second thing, if rape occurs, because it's so sadly so common these days, don't feel that you're to blame or that you're broken. No, because when you spend your life feeling that you're broken because it happened to you, you are giving that rapist the power. You need to find help and don't stop getting help until you understand that it was not your fault and you are not broken or there's something wrong with you, because you will be playing into that little drama that they wanted to create with you. Because if you feel bad because somebody did something to you, you are making that person receive all your power. So let's go back to the first topic. Having more than one wife. Is it good or is it bad? Okay, so we don't have that situation in Panama because it's not legal, but we have a lot of men that have 2 and 3 women. They have a legal wife, and then they got a whole bunch of people on the side. Is that good or is that bad? Okay, I'm calling names. Natalie.
Well, I consider it bad because I don't know how are you going to be able to be with two people, two persons in that at the same time? I don't see a I don't see a logic in there. But I don't know. My way of thinking is not the same way of other people's thoughts, but I think that's I don't know. That's a crazy thought. I don't know. I can't explain. I can't believe or I don't know. I can't I can see logical being with two people at the same time. You can be with one person, and if you don't want to be with that person, then say I don't want to be with you and I'm going to be with another person. But you cannot be like I want to be with you and with everybody. I don't see it like logical.
Yeah. Yeah, I like your point, Natalie. It's true. It's like, why would you want to be with so many people? Just pick one. That's true. But is it always about just being with people, or do you think there are other motives in this thing? Who wants to?
Last week I saw a woman, a Muslim woman, talking about this stuff, and she said it's not always about being together as a relationship. It's more like protection. When women in the Islam have more than one husband, it's not about relationship, but more about protection and how they want to feel protected in a country like that.
Well, yes, because women who live in an extreme patriarchy are unprotected unless you're under some man's umbrella. So yes, it makes a lot of sense from that perspective. But let's bring it back to Panama and these men who have a wife and various little side pieces. Is that good? Is it bad? And who decides if it's good and bad? And most importantly, is that a conversation you need to have before you get married? Or do you wait until after you're married and it happens to you and you're like, oh, what do you think about that? Let's go to Aranza. You're quiet. Aranza's having breakfast. Okay, I'll come back to you later. Layali.
What was the question?
Question is it good or is it bad for men and women? Because in Panama, a lot of women have a whole bunch of men. Is it good or is it bad to be married to one person and have a whole bunch of other people on the side? Is it good or bad, and why? Oh, somebody figured out who is Rodney something or the other.
I think that it's bad because that man feels like a superiority to have a lot of women with him. So I think that is something disgusting because he is just using the woman to feel like a god.
Okay, that's a good one. That's an interesting one. But okay, so is it always about him just feeling like a god? Let's look at it from the woman's perspective. Why would women participate in that? Like, you know, this guy is married, you know, he has a few other women, but you're going to join the list. You know, yesterday, there's this really stupid show on Netflix that one of my daughters wanted to watch with me just to see what it was about. It's called, oh my goodness, I forgot the name of the foolishness. Anyway, it's about people who go on blind dates with people who are wearing like animal masks. Something about the beast. So you don't judge the person by the outward appearance, and you get to know their personality, whatever. So anyway, we watched the first episode and we're like, nah, we ain't watching this thing anymore. The thing is this. So this girl she had a makeup like a devil, right? Like a red devil with a weird smile. And she had to date these 3 guys. One was dressed like a bunny rabbit. The other one was dressed like a Greek god. And the other one was dressed like some kind of wolf monster thing. And the guy who was dressed like a wolf told her point blank from the beginning, I don't believe in loyalty. Like he said something like, oh, I could never be faithful to one woman. And of the three guys, that's the one she picked. Why on earth? So I'm like, really? And you know, when they finally took off the mask, he was ugly, but she's like, oh, he's so hot. He was ugly. Anyway, the thing is this. Why would you pick a guy who openly tells you that he's not going to be loyal? And the other guys were like, actually looked like nicer people, and none of them said that foolishness. But she picked the guy who said he wasn't interested in loyalty. So my question to you is this. So yeah, from the man's perspective, maybe he wants to be a god and just, you know, throw money all over the place. Why do women participate in that? Who wants to take that? Let's go to who has not spoken. Sally Boo.
I'm not really sure about why women do that. I don't know. Yes, I think because they feel attracted to a lot of men, and I don't know I really don't know what that make her feel. You know. I don't know.
Okay, so back to the question. Is it good or is it bad, and who decided that? So if we look at these three things, because we are going to, okay, you're going to have to take that, sister. Wait. Give me a second. We have an issue here. Give me a second. This is so crazy. Wait. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so who is the one who has decided our moral values?
Sure, I just wanted to say something and that Layali said that actually I believe too. And I don't know why I think that they men like got to that point of having a lot of women just to feel power. And because they kind of are lack of something in their inside, so they are just trying. I just think that the amount of women they are having is just to feel that lack of, I don't know if it's self-esteem or self-worth, but some kind of that, just like to prove that and to fulfill that lack of, that they have. And the thing that you were saying, that who decides about what is right and what's wrong, I think that kind of something that comes from that is sympathy. Like we don't want to do something to another person that we don't want to other people to do to us. And when we see other people suffering and we feel like empathy and sympathy for that person, we may see it like a bad thing.
That's some deep thoughts. People, the thing is this. Throughout life, you are going to be the ones trying to make decisions of what's right and what's wrong. You. And you have to be sure that you base your decisions on your own concept of morality. And yes, that sounds kind of dangerous, but you are more likely to do the right thing if you are convinced that it's the right thing. But if you're doing something because they told you to do it because somebody said, then you are not basing yourself on your own concept of morality. And every single one of you has to develop your own concept of what's right and what's wrong. You can base it on the Bible, on your grandmother, on church, on whatever you want to do, but it has to be your concept of what's right and what's wrong. That's one of the reasons why there's so many people who go to church, love church, are always in church, and they're really mean people. It's because they're basing their morality on something else and not on what's really working for them. And we have heard so many stories of people who are like very involved in their religion, be it Christianity or another one, and they commit acts of illegal acts, they murder, they do horrible things because they have based their morality on what somebody told them and not on their own conviction. So one of the most important things that you can do as you go into adulthood, and some of you are already there, is to start thinking through, what do I believe about this? Do I really believe that it's bad for an 18-year-old girl to date a 40-year-old man? And why? Because my mama said? What do I believe? Because when you do not take the time to make up your own mind about these important issues, you're just going to end up doing what everybody else is doing, just following the leader blindly. Okay? So, one last thing before we go. In the book, one of the biggest issues that Linda, who lived in the Savage Reservation, had was understanding why the indigenous women were so angry at her for sleeping with her husband. And she kept saying, it's immoral to only have one man. It's immoral to only have one man. I should have 2 or 3, best 4, 5, or 6, because that's what was instilled in her. Now, we might look at it and say, this woman is crazy. But no, she was basing her moral standards on what she had grown up listening to. And that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. You cannot base your moral standards on other people's opinions. And as Moises said correctly, dead people. You have to base it on your reality, what you believe. And you are entitled to believe whatever you want to believe. Just make sure that it's coming directly from you. Okay, so that's it for today. Do you have any questions? No questions? Okay, Mary Ruth, go read the email I sent you. And the rest of you, see you next time. Bye-bye.